At this time, we will look at changes to the agenda and approval of the agenda tonight. On the consent agenda, we have added item 7.19, payroll calendars for the fiscal year 2023-2024, presented by Julie Perry. And construction program owners representatives business, we've added item 10.2, program number 6, task order number 29, GMP CTE renovations at Crestview High School and Titan Commercial Building, Phase 1, presented by Dr. Bill Smith. That would be for tonight's approval. Then section 3, we will have recognitions. 3.1, recognition of the Emerald Coast Crime Stoppers Stop the Vape video contest winners, presented by Superintendent Chambers. And 3.2, recognition of Allison Baggett, Baker School, 2022-2023, Florida High School Athletic Association Class 1A State Champs, 119-pound girls weightlifting class Olympic lifts, presented by the superintendent. Do you
Yes,
wanna
I
say
can't
something?
wait.
And then section 4, administrative personnel appointments. 4.1, appointment of assistant principal to 10-month Mary Esther Elementary School. 4.2 will be appointment of assistant principal to 12-month Pryor Middle School. 4.3, appointment of principal Antioch Elementary School. 4.4, appointment of principal Bob Sykes Elementary School. Section 5, public comment, blue card version, we don't yet know that. Section 6, committee and staff reports, workshop only. Section 7, consent agenda. 7.1 would be approval of the consent agenda with the changes as mentioned earlier. 7.2, approval of the minutes of the special meeting of April 24, 2023, minutes of the workshop meeting, and minutes of the regular meeting of the same date. 7.3, appropriation of District 1 School Board member capital outlay funds to Shalimar Elementary School for buddy benches in the amount of $4,558.89, presented by Dr. White. 7.4, attorney-client engagement agreement between Wagstaff and Carpmel LLP and its co-counsel Hand Arundel Harrison Sale LLC, Beasley Allen Crow, Methuen Portis and Miles PC, Gonza and Honnold LLC, and Anchor Smith Grimsley PLC, and the School Board of Okaloosa County, Florida, to provide legal services in connection with social media litigation. I believe we have a presentation.
Yes, sir. Dr. Kelly, thank you this morning. We have Attorney Franklin Harrison who's here with us. He is the board attorney for the Bay County School District. Also, his firm is involved in this social media litigation, and we've asked him to come this morning and just give the board an overview of what this litigation is so that you could make a decision if you want, as a district, to be involved in the litigation.
Great. Thank you. Mr. Harrison.
Thank you, ma'am. Not used to being on this side. I am Franklin Harrison, and I represent the Bay County School Board, and I have done that for 44 years. As I tell Jeff, and Jeff knows that we're always just 3 votes away from not being the school board lawyer, but here we are. What I want to talk to you about a little bit today is about this social media litigation, if I can get this thing to open up. As a school board lawyer, I'm a school board lawyer and not a plaintiff's lawyer. That's not what I do. But my superintendent, Bill Husfeld, who I know Marcus knows well, came to me when he saw that a litigation had been filed by the Seattle School District against some of the social media companies for the enormous problems that they're having in the schools with the addiction that the kids have to these social media platforms, and how it affects their learning, how it affects their attentiveness, and affects all kinds of areas as they work in the school, or we try to teach them in the schools. He said, I want in on that because that is really affecting the mental health of our children in this school district, and I think there should be some accountability for that. And with that, I went out and did some research, and I found a team of lawyers who I have great confidence in, the ones that you listed on and on and on, all these names, There are two law firms, one's in Kansas City and one is in Montgomery and some places in Alabama. The Beasley Allen firm is a firm I've worked with a lot on it. One of the lawyers in that firm is co-counsel in the litigation that is presently pending in Los Angeles. These companies are in California. We're suing them in California. They have filed a lawsuit on behalf of the Bay County School Board and on behalf of the Liberty County School Board already in that Los Angeles State Court. He is also on the steering committee for a different lawsuit in federal court out there, but we have chosen to stick with the state court because we feel like that it's a better forum, it's a better jury pool, and it's better discovery for what we're trying to do. And so they're out there working on that now. And that's where we would be involved. It is based upon a contingency fee agreement. I think maybe y'all have seen the agreement, certainly. It's like BP oil spill. I think I talked to y'all years ago about that. That's when I was put my foot in the plaintiff's side of stuff once before. And it costs you nothing. It's just like the TV ads. It costs you nothing. It is all the costs are advanced by the lawyers, which is the way it works. And then eventually, the only thing you'll have to do is you'll get a fact sheet that you'll need to fill out. It's a couple of pages long. I don't know if you're involved in the Jewel lawsuit. Yeah, Jeff and I talked about that. It's the same kind of thing that you filled out in that. It takes a couple hours just to really, what is your school district? And then if you happen to be chosen as a bellwether case, then you would have much more involvement. That would be a case that is tried, because they will try some to be able to convince the other folks that this is a real lawsuit and we need to do that. And if that were to happen, your share of the money in the end would be much higher because it would cost a lot more. We would involve Jeff as local counsel certainly on this. No decisions are made on settlement or anything without your approval. You must approve anything. You can fire us whenever you want to, if you want to, just like we operate as school board lawyers. And I feel like that, I know that I've got this from some other schools about some of the things that they have had to spend money on as a result of this social media. They've had to hire additional mental health professionals. This all may sound familiar to y'all. Had to develop and implement lesson plans for social media harms, provide more training for educators, staff, and community on social media, address property damage caused by mentally anguished students, increase disciplinary measures, address bullying, harassment, and threats originating on social media. I know we have certainly seen that. We've seen that in expulsion hearings and those disciplinary matters you have to deal with. Confiscate electronic devices, notify parents and guardians of students' behavior issues and attendance, investigate and respond to threats made over social media, and update student codes of conduct on policies involving social media. It's a real problem, and the social media companies do a lot of good things, and we don't all, but some of us use them, and they can be valuable. But there's another side to it where, as I've heard somebody said, that if it's free, you're probably the product. And that is so true with these social media companies. I'll be glad to answer any question that you have. This is not it's a year's kind of a lawsuit. It's not going to be something, I wouldn't be budgeting any money in the meantime about it, but I think that it's something I'm personally excited about. I've been at this a long time, and I won't be doing it a lot longer, but I like the idea of maybe here at the end I do something that's really important and helpful for the school system. What questions do you have? I'm glad to answer anything that you have.
I do have a question. When we have these lawsuits like we got in the Jewel, what I am concerned about is, even if the lawsuit is successful, we can't stop social media. So what is the scope of exactly what we're trying to get, to happen?
Well, I think there are a couple of things that we want to happen. First of all, we want to get you paid for the amount of money that you have to expend at every budget year in dealing with social media addictions and those kind of problems. The other thing is to get them to be more accountable for what they're doing. They have ways that they can determine ages and the content of what they're putting out to them, and the way that they give them rewards so that it triggers the dopamine in their minds to stay on it and do it more. Those kind of things is something that would be something we would try to do within the litigation as well as the money. You know, change your business habits. We want you to make money. We want you to stay in business, but we want you to be able to not target on these children so that they have the problems that they have, and we have the problems in dealing with in our school system. You know, it's wide open. The other question I've got a lot of time, what about when the money comes, are we required to spend it in a certain way? In the Jewel litigation, you are not, and I doubt that you will in this. In the BP litigation, you were not. But, you know, that's all part of a settlement process on down the line, which is years away. I mean, there's a lot of work to be done between now and then. I don't know if you've seen the complaint that we filed. I think Jeff has a copy of it. It's a 70-page complaint. It's extremely comprehensive, and I'll tell you, as I didn't draft it. These lawyers who've been at it a lot longer than I have did. As it's chilling. It's chilling to read what the extent of the algorithms that the social media companies use and how. I mean, they're smart people and they make a lot of money.
Well,
and I'm all for making money, but
Yeah.
let's do it right.
Does it strengthen the litigation by having more districts? And part of this, is that what you're trying to do, is to get more on it before it's filed?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
We have, you know, yes, the strength in numbers.
Right.
And also large district. We just got a contract back from the Orange County School District, which, as you know, is one of the major school districts in Florida. Bay, Gulf, Walton, Liberty, of course, and Swanee, and Orange, and there are numbers of them that I'm talking to, and that I appeared before the Orange County School Board, y'all. It's a different world than where we live up here. I'm telling you, it's very interesting, but there's a lot of them, and I know that the Broward County School Board, we don't represent, but I know Broward is involved in it, and certainly Miami-Dade will be. So, yeah. And we've got Mobile, Tuscaloosa, Montgomery, some in West Virginia. You know, in the end, there'll be hundreds.
Okay. Thank you.
Ms. Gardner?
I was just going to say, I'm excited that we're looking at this also. Pretty much prior to every workshop, we're having these expulsion meetings. And it's in talking to these principals, assistant principals, I mean, they're just overwhelmed. They're frustrated, everything that you've listed about, you know, the problems that we're having, the cost that's going into it. Not only that, but these young students, I think we had a 13-year-old today that, you know, and it breaks our heart to have to expel them, but school board policy. But not only that, but we're looking at their health, their mental health. It's heartbreaking.
It is.
It truly is.
It is.
And, you know, we were sharing, I was reading an article that a device that they're selling is a highlighter. You know, that these small devices are just, they're targeted. I mean, so I am excited that we are looking into this and voting on this tonight. So, thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you for bringing it.
I think it's a righteous lawsuit, if there ever was one.
Mhm.
I do.
And for
It
me,
needs to be addressed, and I'm
Thank
glad
you.
that we are taking action to do so.
And you're gonna be leading the parade. I mean, in
Mhm.
Florida, really you are.
Mhm.
and for me, I'll just say, as a former principal, and I thought this is where you were going to, Ms. Gardner, the social media presence and the angst that it causes, particularly within the discipline realm at schools with the cyberbullying and the cyber stalking, those ramifications just cannot be emphasized too highly. So I am very pleased that we're looking at holding accountable the social media giants that do manipulate the psychology of our young students who get hooked and addicted, as you said, to the use of those platforms on social media. Thank
I
you.
think some of the studies have shown that female students are particularly vulnerable to some of the social media addictions, and it's just, it's bad.
And if you look at the report released by the CDC in February, the day before Valentine's Day, that was one of the things they reiterated, that the social media, and females particularly, I think it was 52% of females were increased with their feelings of vulnerability and body image due to social media. So thank you for that. Thank you, Mr. Harrison. And please give our heartfelt regards to Superintendent Hudsfeld.
I will, as he's winding down his tenure.
I know, I'm sad to hear
into
that.
June, or
Sad
into
to hear
July, I
it.
guess it is. We're gonna miss him very much, but
I know you will.
I'm sure the governor will find somebody good.
Thank you for being with us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you all
Mr.
very
Ramos.
much. I appreciate you letting me come here today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Any other comments, Mr. McGinnis?
No, ma'am, that agreement will be on your consent agenda for tonight's
Tonight.
consideration.
Yes. That brings us to 7.5, appropriation of District 5 School Board member capital outlay funds to Edge Elementary School for electronic sign repair in the amount of $1,665. 7.6, budget amendment number 7, fiscal year 2022-2023, presented by Julie Perry. 7.7, monthly financial statement for March 2023, presented by Julie Perry. 7.8, invoices to be approved for payment, presented by Julie Perry. 7.9, school donations, presented by Julie Perry. 7.10, agreement between the School Board of Okaloosa County, Florida and ProCare Solutions for merchant services, presented by Julie Perry. 7.11, RFQ 23-47, Lit Camp Reading Kits, presented by Vince Wyndham. 7.12, Sole Source Purchase number 23-23, over $50,000, Teaching Strategies, presented by Vince Wyndham. 7.13, Tag-on Bid Purchase over $50,000, Apple Inc., presented by Vince Wyndham. 7.14, Amendment to Service Agreement number 22-105, Emerald Coast Design Build Incorporated, doing business as Windfree Engineering, presented by Vince Wyndham. 7.15, Sale and Disposal of Surplus Property, presented by Steve Bolton. 7.16, CACI Task Order number 206 for data drop installation of Okaloosa County School District vape detectors, presented by Dustin Keith. 7.17, Okaloosa County School District 2024-2025 School Calendar, presented by Dushka Ross.
I just want to mention to the public listening that there is a committee of stakeholders from a lot of different areas, employees now that do the calendar. So it's not really the board, it's not just the district, but a lot of people go into deciding the calendar, and it seems like it would be an easy task, but I've been looked at that before, and the bottom line is we all want to start late and end early, but you can't. And trying to get in those days before winter holidays when you're trying to get a number of, finish a semester, and we've done it a number of different ways over the years, but just to let that they spend a lot of time looking at those dates and getting spring break and trying to get it in. And I get asked still, and it's been a long time since we started after Labor Day, but I still get asked, what happened to starting after Labor Day? And I said, yeah, you can, but you're not going to finish a semester and that. So just wanted to point that out, that there is a calendar committee and that there are different citizens on there too, I believe so.
Well, and also this is the 2024-2025, so it gives our parents, community plenty of time for any type of, to prepare in any way. So I appreciate that we are jumping on that
Yeah.
a good year out.
Yeah, that's good.
And shout out to Dushka Ross, who is here today. Thank you and your team for your work.
Oh, good, yeah.
7.18, Summer Volunteer Pre-K VPK for 2023, presented by Deborah Hahn, Principal. And Deborah's here today if anybody wants to ask Ms. Hahn a question.
I
Any
just want to
question?
thank her for all she does for VPK. We worked closely, and I know that's her heart, and we both agree how important this is, that early intervention, and just thank you for what you do for that early
Mhm. It's great.
VPK.
Sure sets our students up for success.
It sure does. It's an excellent program.
7.19, payroll calendars for fiscal year 2023-2024, presented by Julie Perry. And that brings us to Section 7, Superintendent's Human Resources Recommendations. Excuse me. 8.1, Information Only, Deferred Retirement Option Program Drop, presented by Lee Hale. 8.2, Employees on Administrative Leave, presented by Lee Hale. 8.3, Department Staffing Restructure, presented by Lee Hale. 8.4, Employment Separations, presented by Dr. Hale. 8.5, Personnel Recommendations, presented by Lee Hale. 8.6, Employee Suspension, presented by Lee Hale. 8.7, Employee Suspension, presented by Lee Hale. 8.8, Employee Termination, presented by Dr. Hale. 8.9, Reinstatement, Reimbursement of Sick Leave Due to Line of Duty Illness, Injury, Medical Exam, presented by Lee Hale. And 8.10, Leave Without Pay, presented by Dr. Hale. Section 9, Discussion Agenda, we have nothing moved there. Section 10, Construction Program Owners Representatives Business. And 10.1, we'll have our report by Mr. Bryant. 10.2, Program Number 6, Task Order Number 29, GMP CTE renovations at Crestview High School and Titan Commercial Building, Phase 1, presented by Dr. Smith. That will bring us to Section 11, Attorney's Business.
Nothing further.
And then 12.1 will be out-of-state student trip request, and 12.2, correspondence by the superintendent.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to start off by saying I know that we're all recognizing our teachers this week as we have Teacher Appreciation Week, and I know we'll all do that in our own ways. But I will say you'll see us recognizing our teachers on billboards across the school district, as well as in restaurants where there's some TVs where we're highlighting teachers, but also highlighting things about the school district as well. But just want to really give a shout out to all of our teachers. Also, May is Mental Health Month, and the theme that goes with that across the state is Look Around, Look Within. So that is a theme that'll be out at our schools, and every day there's a recommendation throughout the month of May of things that schools can do to honor this month and to give our students and really employees tips of things that they can do just to have good mental health awareness. Also, as we know, right now we are in the throes of the Florida Assessment Test, the Progress Monitoring Test, the FAST. Our students are in the middle of that. One of the interesting pieces with this test is we get data, in essence, right away. Within 24 hours, we see how students are doing. Families will be notified specifically of how their students did. Mrs. Lightborn and her group are sending home information to parents so they know specifically how they'll receive that information. As you know, the second semester has been busy with meeting with different groups of folks, from our parents, both on the Gen Ed side and our parents on the ESE side as well. I want to thank Ms. Ard for having her ESE Parent Advisory Group, where they've been meeting to discuss things that are going well and ways that we can do things even better. You know, one example that parents gave is looking at how we can do more with assistive technology. So that's something that Ms. Ard and her group are looking into. And I will say, over the course of this semester, once again, just meet with groups of parents. You know, we've talked about everything from scheduling to school safety to vaping, just a number of different topics. And I just appreciate the parents, one, taking time to come meet with us to discuss their thoughts on the school district, and 2, giving suggestions, which we appreciate. And then I also want to thank each of our board members and the 2 who aren't here with us today for the chats that we've had with the students. I think it's been a very, very beneficial time. You know, almost every meeting, not almost, every meeting was over 2 hours, and many lasted approximately 3 hours, and I'm sure that you all might share some information during your time or even during this time as well. But just some of the topics that came up, just want to share. So mental health initiatives, our mental health counselors, school lunches, which is always fun to discuss, block scheduling, funding for the school district as a whole, but also for athletic programs and after-school programs, future enrollment and growth. I thought it was very interesting that students are very aware of the growth within their school and their community. And then the half-cent sales tax. It's nice to be able to talk to kids who are proud about the projects that are coming, and even getting suggestions on something as simple as ceiling tiles. So it was a very, very beneficial time to spend with our students, just to be able to interact with us and then share their thoughts. And I have a couple other items, but you may have some thoughts on those chats.
Either of you want to comment about your chat at your
I
school?
think ours was one of the very first chats. So impressed with the students that were sitting there. Our group was a little smaller, but I really liked that. And we were able to just kind of have that closeness, that one-on-one. They did not hold back. I was pleased with what they had to say, but I really enjoyed that. You know, we look at it in one way, coming from the adults and the, outside world, and they're giving us their insight that moment. And they had some great ideas, especially I think ours was with the videoing of the vaping, or it was one of the videos that we were producing, and they wanted it to be more energetic. They thought we were kind of like, mama. And it was really cute. Like I said, they did not hold back, and they wanted it peppy, and they had some great ideas. So I
They
think
did.
that was, I appreciate you, putting that initiative out there. Well, I think you started it,
I did
during
it the first year
COVID.
that we had been out for COVID,
Right,
yes,
right,
and
but I think it's
suggested
very,
it.
very valuable information. Those are the individuals, students that we are working with, and we need to listen to them. They have some much better ideas than we do more often.
Absolutely.
But thank you.
Well, I was just amazed at the depth of knowledge, like you said, that they had about topics you wouldn't think high school students would even be aware of, but they're very well knowledgeable about a lot of different things, about even funding. They may not know the specifics, but they get the big picture. Now, for Baker, one thing I found interesting is, as you know, being a K through 12 school, some of their things are set up a little differently, and they found a solution to some courses they might want to do that they haven't been able to have because of certain, they had some suggestions, which, not only were they talking about the problem, but they had some suggestions. So I thought it was interesting. But one thing I wanted to point out as I asked you is, our county is geographically spread out, and students come from different backgrounds. But you told me that basically it wasn't any different whether you were sitting, at the beach or the barn. It was basically the same concerns throughout the district. Isn't that correct?
No, absolutely.
And I think that shows you what's going on. And I think in general what I got from the students is that they seem to be very proud to be in Okaloosa County, and they're aware that they're lucky to be here, and that made us feel really good too.
And I'll just wrap up with that by saying how very innovative and creative they were, and how reflective they are of the community that we're in. For instance, in our chat, we had a student who was from the military family, and he had lived in multiple areas, and being able to talk about the block schedule and all of its different forms. And I'd never heard of a format that he talked about, having 4 days of block and 1 day of regular schedule. And they had all kinds of concerns, but they also had solutions. So I was very happy that they were that kind of thinker, not just comparing themselves, but also, to your point, Ms. Ivanchik, every single one of them was very proud to say that they will very soon be a graduate of Okaloosa County Schools. And for Niceville High School, they were certainly proud to be a Niceville graduate. So they were very highly regarded at the student level, and I got several comments from parents that they were very glad that we had spoken to their students and given them an opportunity to provide us with input.
Well, and I just want to thank each of you because it was a valuable time, and the thoughts that you shared with the students definitely very beneficial. And to Ms. Gardner's point, we had a group of 5 all the way to a group of 120. So and everything in between. So it was a great few months meeting with our students.
I thought it was interesting that they wanted to know our jobs. Remember, they asked
They
us,
did.
what exactly do you do? So, I thought that was
Well, and
good.
I love, and I didn't mention it, but thinkers, I mean, like, they had problems, and they had things they wanted us to address, but they also, their solutions were excellent. Really deep thinkers
Mhm.
really came to us with, not just the problem, but also, here's another way to do it better, and it, most times was better. It
You know,
was
how-
good.
And they did their
And you
research.
took a lot of notes, I mean, they
Yeah.
did, you did, they did.
And you think students talking about House Bill 1?
Yes.
I didn't expect that. So, but it was a good time.
Smart individuals.
I think we all know that the Citizens Oversight Group Committee, they meet tomorrow here in this room at 4 o'clock. But I also want to just thank a number of the members, Mr. Bernard Johnson, Mr. Belcher, Mrs. Wallace, and others who went out to schools to see the progress that's being made in their area. And I think they had a really good time, and I think they were blown away by the progress. So just appreciate them doing that. And then the last thing I just have for you all today is just to say, I know I'll be seeing you all at many of the graduations, and we're looking forward to that culmination for our seniors. That's all I have, Madam Chair.
Good, thank you. All right, so board members' announcements, section 13. We'll start with Ms. Gardner.
I'm going to use my time this evening, but just a shout out to our teachers. I don't know that people really understand the day in and the day out. They, with the work they put into their job, they take it so personal. Every one of those students become their children, and they don't leave it when they walk out the door, whether it's at 2:33 or whatever it is. It's with them 24/7. And again, a shout out to them. I think some of my best, most favorite little gifts, little happies were just notes. Just when a student would just write, or a parent would write just a personal note. I mean, and I still have mine after all these many years, and of all my little goodies and treasures, those have meant the most. So I hope some of our parents and teachers parents and students will just take that minute and just jot down a sentence or two, because it really does mean a lot. So shout out to our teachers. for what they do.
Absolutely. Ms. Evancho?
Yes, okay. Yeah, I want to back that. Certainly, we want to recognize our teachers. And, this time of year, I was talking to someone, teachers' energy starting to wane a little bit, and the kids are bringing it up
Ramping
for
up.
the summer. So it's trying to balance it. But the things they do, it's just amazing. And we're so appreciative. I do want to give an update from our Public Schools Foundation. We've had a lot of activity in the last month or so with the foundation. First of all, we did a reality check financial literacy thing that was really good. 60 high school students from Laurel Hill, it was funded by Wells Fargo, and we had a matching grant. Then we partnered with the Eglin Federal Credit Union, Courtney Dawson. It was fabulous, where students had a scenario, and whatever their scenario, some were single. In fact, one gentleman told me, he said, I'm single, I can do this. But they had to come to each area and have a certain amount of money and purchase things. And what a great experience. And we had a great turnout, and so I'm thinking this is going to continue as we go forward, because I think all the students need to have that experience. So that was a very good thing. We had a lot of community members joining in on that, which was great for them to see how the students interact with them. Many people aren't around teenagers, so they get to see that. And then we had our first pickleball tournament, which went great. Over 160 players doing pickleball out there, and so we raised about $20,000 to go to the foundation. And this money goes for things for teachers to have in their classrooms, some different projects, a lot of different things that we use the money for. So it's exciting. And then with Take Stock in Children, we had our graduation ceremony the other day with our Take Stock in Children. We have 14 students who are graduating with a Take Stock scholarship. We're very proud of that. That means they've successfully completed the program, many of them throughout their 4 years in high school. And we've just added 17 new students into the program. So it's really building. And these students, of course, when they complete it, will get that 2-year scholarship to continue their education in Florida. And I just want to say, when I came on the board, our foundation was struggling. And in fact, there was some talk of whether it needed to continue, but it is very, very healthy now and provides so many things that help our district and the teachers, the students, and a lot of that comes from the leadership that we have. And I'm just so proud to be a part of it, and everything we do is continuing to add to the learning environment of our students. So exciting stuff from the foundation. Thank you.
Very good. Well, I just have a few things. I'll try to be brief. When you represent 8 schools, though, you get a lot of information, and it's all good stuff. But I'll just start by saying, as the superintendent said, May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and most of you know of my involvement with the Hope Squad. So I'll give a shout out to Tammy Law, who is actually Choctaw's Hope Squad advisor. She had 4 students apply to serve on the National Hope Squad Council, and 3 of those 4 have been selected to move on to the second round of selection, and final selections will be made tomorrow, May the 9th. And in track and field news, the Niceville High School track and field boys and girls teams are the 4A Region 1 champs. And I don't represent Laurel Hill, but y'all know I have a heart for that school. So I wanted to give a shout out to Laurel Hill School alumni Tyler Southard, who made the University of Florida's cheer team. How phenomenal is that? The Niceville Eagles softball team won the 6A District 2 championship. And Blue Water Elementary was happy to close out the month of April with their High Five Friday, and they welcomed 10 new friends from the Sheriff's Department who greeted students as they arrived at school. Niceville High School's Hannah Castor and Gabriel Jacobs are the winners of the Congressional App Challenge for 2022 with their app called Coastal. And if you didn't see that on the news, it was pretty phenomenal. They designed an app to warn and educate people, beachgoers particularly, of our rip tides and the flag warning system that we have here. And then I'll just end up with 2 really special events that I got to attend this past week. I enjoyed attending the Destin Elementary School's ribbon cutting of their refurbished butterfly garden and release of butterflies and ladybugs to enhance that area. And Marty, you know, Miss Leah McGill actually had a hand in starting that garden years ago when she taught with you. And I got to know her when she taught for me at Destin Middle. So she was spearheading the refurbishing of that garden, and got to see Mrs. Meyer too there that day. I also enjoyed very much attending Silver Sand Seahorse first annual fish fry with their tilapia harvested from the students' aquatic farm. That was a pretty inventive way, I think, to demonstrate to the students a real life example of what it means to go from farm to table. So I thought all of those are just exemplary examples of what we do in Okaloosa County every single day. So just kudos to all of those people. And then I'll end my announcements by adding my 2 cents worth for teachers. I'll always have a heart of a teacher and a heart for teachers. I think we know that every one of us who brag about Okaloosa County and its standing, we stand on the back of those teachers and what they do every day. Okay, so that brings us to section 14, which would be public comment, the yellow card version. We don't yet know about that. And then tonight at 6:15, we do have public hearing for adoption of 4 potential new job descriptions.
And Dr. Kelly, if Dr. Hale could address 15.4, please.
Yes.
Good morning, thank you. Yes, I just wanted to make mention of the fact that for 15.4 tonight, the superintendent's recommendation will include a different pay grade than what was previously published. The recommendation will be pay grade 3 as opposed to pay grade 2. And we do know that this is a new job description, but this new pay grade would be a lesser impact on the budget if it were to pass tonight.
Thank you.
I have a question about 15.3. The difference, new job description for truancy officer. I mean, what is the difference from the old to the new.
Okay, so there's a lot of different thoughts with regard to this one. The primary one is that we have struggled over time finding people to fill that because of the requirement that there be a teacher certification, because
Right.
previously our truancy's been a TSA. And so primarily, we wanted to reduce the impact of that and be able to fill that position with a person that potentially may not have to be certified. Right now, that would just be something that we would hold if we were to ever need that, but I don't believe there's any
Just
plans
kinda
to fill
opens
that
it
at
up
this
for us.
time.
Right. Okay, thank you.
I would think, too, that it helps us keep our certified people in the classroom, since we're so
Absolutely.
short on those anyway.
Yes, ma'am.
I think it's a
Thank
great
you.
idea. I thank you for it.
Thank you.
So if we're not going to have them have a certification, then what salary schedule does it go on then?
I'm sorry, I don't have that in front of me, but I believe
Okay.
that would be on I believe it's on the professional technical? Professional technical.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you. Anything else? All right. Anybody on the staff? Jeff? Oh, sorry, Greg? So, anything else for the good of the order? If not, then we are adjourned.